Welcome back to another episode of the Coffee and Records podcast when we talk about navigating the music industry and not freaking out in the process. Today's guest is amazing. This man is all in one. He knows about music production, audiovisual work, and he's also a multi-instrumentalist. Majoring in music business, he's going to be talking about his experience creating his own company, recording live music and music videos, producing original music, and playing for others. This man has come so far and he's not done. So if you want to know how to level up your career, you might want to stay to the end and listen to what he has to say. Please welcome Henlin Nguyen. Henlin, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I know that you do a lot of stuff. Right?
Yeah,
You know about music production, you know about filming, audiovisual work, you study music business, you do a lot of stuff and you have a lot of projects going on, and I just thought that interviewing you would be like so amazing because I feel like you have a lot of experience. I feel like through those experience you probably learned a lot of stuff that you can share with us, so
we'll see. We'll find out.
Exactly. And based on my extended research
stalking my Instagram page.
Instagram. First, let's talk about how busy you are all the time.
Okay.
What did you do today?
This is kind of my own fault. It's a Sunday when we're recording this, and
Yeah.
Sundays are meant, like, usually for me, I want them to be clear. You know, I don't want anything going on.
Yeah.
But somehow today I have put, let's see, I ran at, like, I went for a run at 7:30. Went to, like, this car show thing. And what do? I filmed for someone, and then I'm doing this, and then I have, like, what else do I have? I'm helping a friend take down, like, you know, on the bridge that we're walking around here, like, there's these locks, like love locks. Yeah. Well, we're taking one of them down because they broke up.
Oh, damn.
And then side note, but then I have rehearsal. I have another call. Like, it's a packed day. Is my point.
It's really packed, and all of your days are like that. I mean, packed.
Some. We'll go with some.
Okay. So, but you are a very busy person, and I can tell. And one of the things that most caught my attention that I want to start by asking you, you are part of the Miracle Club.
Yes.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Can you talk a little bit about that club and what's your role?
Yeah. The Miracle Club started back in 2022 with, this is mainly Julian's brainchild, Julian Pavoni. You should have him on.
Definitely.
But we founded that in the basement of 270 Commonwealth, just like sitting on our
first
computers.
semester?
This was either first or second, I forget.
Damn.
I think it was second, but yeah, like, legit, we were just, like, doing everything that we could, and so that's, like, sending out emails, like, making link trees, and, you know, everything and anything that needed to be done, we just did. And over time that evolved. Like, I feel like in the end, I guess I'm technically president now, but not really. Like, we're slowly phasing that out, and we're trying to find new members to continue this idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you want me to go more into the story of how it started?
I mean, sure. You know, I saw that you guys had like sponsorships or partnerships. I don't know. You tell me, with DistroKid. And how did you get that?
It's all Stephanie Henning. Like,
oh,
she's my queen. Literally half of the things that we were able to do because of her.
Who is she?
She is the not CEO, like the head of the Career Center.
Okay.
Berkeley Career Center.
I mean, I knew that, but I just, for
well,
those who don't know.
Wait, what is she? What's her actual role?
No, I don't know, but I knew that she's like the head of the Career Center.
Yeah. And yeah, like, she loves me and Julian, apparently. And helped us get basically everything off the ground. Like the partnership with DistroKid was through the Berklee Career Center. The fact that we were Band Jam, that was also like we performed at the Career Jam after party, and that was also because of her.
Right.
And so she's awesome, you know.
But
and she gets all the credit
for that. And
Mm.
what's the club like really about? Like, what do you guys do? I saw that you guys do fundraisings and everything.
Yeah.
So how does it work?
Initially, it started because this is Julian's story, but I'll try to tell it, and he'll correct me. But he has this connection with the Boston Children's Hospital Network, which is like what it originally started as. And so I think they reached out, or he reached out and wanted to partner on a fundraising thing.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we did, right? We wanted to raise money, and so we're thinking about like creative ways to do that. And we were like, okay, we're at a Berklee, like we're at a music school. We have all of these super talented musicians, artists, bands everywhere. Why not put them together and do a battle of the bands? And so that's what we did.
Yeah.
And then that's like how it started. The year after that, we moved on to Save the Music Foundation, who are awesome. But with the same thesis of using Battle of the Bands competitions to raise money for a good cause.
That's beautiful. You know, you're using music and you're getting money and you're using it for a good cause.
Yeah.
It's like so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And so apart from like creating, you know, this thing and working on this project, you also do a lot of audiovisual work as well. So you record music videos and you record live recordings. You did Dudas. She's a Berklee artist, and my roommate. You did the Dua Lipa ensemble, right? Live recording, and you also do. I saw that you did music videos also in the past. That I was present for the live recording sessions, and that's when I was like, wow, like you can do a lot of interesting things, because like it was very stressful, you know, because you needed to get all the instruments to sound well, and all the people needed to hear themselves as well, and we did a lot of takes, and it was a lot of time. And so yeah, I was curious to know how and when did you start with like recordings and taking photos and that?
So one of my best friends in the world, his name's Amalia Urgashev. He's in, I think, San Francisco right now, but he's based in LA, working for Warner Chappell, which is fucking amazing.
Damn.
But he initially, when we first met, he's like, his thing was videography. And so he did videography for basically every Berklee act. Like whenever they needed a videographer, they were like, oh, call them all. Right. He's since moved on to like other things, but he had this camera, and I was just like messing around with it, and I thought, oh, this thing is really cool, and just film shit.
So you just took his camera and
yeah, and so the first shoots that I did were using his camera.
Okay.
And then over time, more and more people started calling me.
But
So I said yes.
This was when you were already at Berklee,
Oh yeah.
like second semester. Okay, I see. And so you decided, okay, I really like doing this, so I'm gonna like do it. And then eventually you bought your own camera.
Yeah. I will say it's more of a side thing for me. Like it feels that way. You know what I mean? Like, at least, you know, this might age poorly, but I don't see myself going down videography as like the main route. It's just fun, you know. I think I like pretty things just in general, like.
Yeah.
And the job of the videographer is to make things look pretty. And so that's really cool, but I don't see it as a career path.
So you see it more like as a hobby.
Yeah, and if you pay me for it, great.
Great.
My Instagram's hanlon.music.
We're gonna put it in the caption. Click down below. But and so since audiovisual work is more of like a side thing for you, which I gotta be honest, I didn't know. I thought that was your focus. Interesting. You learn something every day. Let's talk about music, which I do believe is your focus, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I wanted to know, what's your relationship with music? Like, did you grow up as a kid being like, I want to do, playing instruments and I want to do music when I grow up? Or did you consider other career paths, and then what led you to actually be here?
I both fell into it and also like didn't at the same time. And so what I mean by that is I grew up playing classical piano, and for a long time that felt like the only thing that I could ever do.
Oh, okay.
Right? And I felt like that was my only skill set, that was the only like career path that I could utilize. And so in my mind, when I was like, I don't know, 10, 11, the thing that you do in classical piano is you go out and you play shows as a solo act or with an orchestra. But that's potentially the most competitive career in the world, seeing as the demand for classical music is at an all-time low. And there's like the number of successful solo acts I can basically count off on my fingers.
Yeah.
And so over time, that along with like the competition scene kind of made me fall out of love with music,
And when was this?
Shit, you're asking me dates.
No,
like
around
2019, 2020.
Wait, so you were already here at Berklee, or
I was not.
Okay.
No,
okay.
I'm year of 26.
Okay.
Represent.
Makes sense. And so you kind of fell out of love with music?
Yeah, like completely. It probably took me like a half a year of just letting go of it. Fuck it, let's go on this tangent. In 2019, I went to China for a full year. The first half of the year, I was doing like martial arts at this martial arts temple. Kung Fu temple.
Yeah.
The second half was traditional archery. In that year, I barely touched music. And I think I needed that step away from it to really fall back in love with music in a different way. And so in 2020, during the pandemic, I picked up a guitar, and while I was searching YouTube on like how to play guitar, I came across videos of John Mayer playing live, and just head over heels just fell in love with it. And yeah, I spent the next, I want to say 5 years now, just playing guitar. That's all I would do. Recently it's kind of taken a back seat because I'm focusing more on writing now.
Okay.
But my trajectory went so piano, and then into guitar, and then into songwriting, and now I'm here.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's interesting that you need to step away from it.
Oh, absolutely.
And a lot of people have that like moment once they get here to Berklee. They're like too overwhelmed, and they're like, I can't stand music anymore. That happened to me. But it's interesting that kind of happened to you before coming here, which I think is interesting. And then you fell in love again, and now you're here. And what led you to decide to study music business, specifically?
I think I've always been practical. Maybe that's, I don't know whether that's beneficial or detrimental, but music business seems like the most practical choice out of all the majors. And the reason I say that is because it's applicable to basically any field within music.
Yeah.
Right? The principles of business and of music business apply to game scoring, to film scoring, to writing, to sync, to publishing, anything you can name, marketing, right? Managing.
Yeah.
And so this top-down overview of what music really is, that's something that you can really only get here unless you have like years of experience in the industry. And so studying music business here is a way to kind of skip over like all the problems that you would normally have to deal with if you just jumped headfirst into the industry without any knowledge. Right. Now, knowledge isn't everything. I think like actually doing things, not like from a theoretical thing, but going out there and like playing shows and writing is way more important, because you'll learn the business like lessons along the way, but this does give you an advantage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So learning what is the industry all about before you get into it.
Yeah, basically. So, yeah.
And you said that you are now really focusing on writing and composing.
Yeah.
And producing? Do you also produce?
My own stuff, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Are you working on something new?
Yes. I can't give a date, but I am working on an EP.
Ooh, okay.
Either a single or an EP. We're figuring that out right now.
Are you doing it with someone else?
Literally me.
So it's just you and just you?
Just me, yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Because I think the advantage of playing multiple instruments and like knowing your way around at least like some part of every trade in music, whether that's writing, production, like playing, recording, engineering, gives you the advantage of being able to do everything in-house, at least at the start.
Right? I see.
And that's what I'm doing.
What instruments do you play?
So I started on piano. I play guitar, obviously. Bass, drums a little bit. We're working on that. And I sing.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you do have like everything to do it yourself, which is really good. And what's like, would you say? I mean, I also saw that you play for other artists, like
yeah, a few.
Yeah. And would you say, like, what's your ultimate career goal? Like, you want to play for others, or do you want to just be an artist or play or compose for yourself? What is your ultimate career goal in this business?
I'll be honest, I don't know. And so let me put it this way. Like, yes, of course, the simple answer is, oh, I just want to do what I'm doing right now, but more. And like, true. But if you look at it from like a big timeline level, like I have no idea what's going to happen in the next 2 years and the person I'm going to be in 2 years.
Yeah.
And so the person that I am in 2 years, what he wants is probably going to be different than what I want right now. And so I could say, oh yeah, I want to just play guitar and write. But honestly, I have no idea.
That is so true. And I think the same way, because I feel like a lot of people around me are like, no, I want to work at this company and I want to get married when I'm like 26. And then, and I'm like, what? Why are you planning that far? You know, it doesn't make any difference. You know, it also doesn't make any sense for me either. So yeah, I really like that approach. So kind of like just doing what you want to do now, and that's about it. Yeah.
Am I allowed to curse?
Yes.
Okay, so this isn't me shitting on like the idea of setting long-term goals. I think there are benefits with that, but my point is they can't be rigid. You know?
I see.
Like if I carve it into stone of like, oh yeah, I want to play guitar and write and that's it, and like play shows.
You kind of limit yourself.
I do, right?
Yeah.
And as long as they're flexible and adaptable, I think that's fine. But I prefer looking, you know, literally like right now, like in the moment, right now, what do I want in like maybe a day? Like what do I want in a week, in a month, in a year?
Yeah.
I'll go as far out as a year.
Makes sense.
But past that, it feels kind of pointless.
Yeah. Also, sometimes we create these expectations, and when they don't happen, we get frustrated. So I feel like, that's a really good piece of advice, I'd say. And also, I want to ask you, coming back to your music and what you do, we were talking before pressing record. We were talking about country music, right? So is that like the focus of your new single EP? coming, and how I really want you to tell me about like your relationship with country music, because I feel like it's really big in your life.
Yeah, this is such a recent development that like telling the story is a little difficult. Actually, no, it isn't. Scratch that. So I've been a John Mayer fan as long as I can remember, aka 5 years, because my memory sucks.
As long as you can remember.
But he did a collaboration with Zach Bryan maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I listened to it because he played on it. But then I was starting to listen to the actual song. I was like, oh, I love how this sounds. And then I took a deeper look at Zach's discography. And like American Heartbreak is one of my favorite albums of all time now. I think it's his best work so far. The reason why I love that is it's poetry. You know what I mean? Like it's legitimately like creating feelings and memories I didn't know I had. And that's just the kind of artist that he is. Mm-hmm. Right. And that led me into like the rest of country music. I see. Morgan Wallen was getting big at that time too. Luke Combs, who you mentioned earlier, like Megan Maroney, like all of these acts, like something about the sound of country music that I can't really describe. Like, yeah, it's the pedal steel and it's the guitars, but I think it's more than that. I think it's like the raw acoustic, like sitting by a campfire feeling that you can get. Mm-hmm. That's what I love about it, and I like the accent too.
Yes.
I used to hate it, but
really,
yeah.
I really like the accent, and I really like, for me, country music is like gives me a sense of comfort, and I think it's because, I mean, in my case, I think it's because I used to listen to a lot of country music when I was in high school, and you know, it brings me back to that period of time. So I get what you mean. Mm-hmm.
Also, from a writing perspective, country writing is the best in the world. Like, it feels like comedy in a sense. Like, you have comedy punchlines, and then you have like song punchlines. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm trying to like find an example in my head, but
the new Megan Maroney's.
Yeah, 6 months later, right? Like,
I love it.
Right, but it's setup, punchline, yes. And then it goes into another verse, and then punchline again.
Yeah.
Right, and so something about that like clicks in my head.
Yeah.
You know,
it's very creative.
Yeah.
What doesn't kill you calls you
6 months later. Yeah, exactly.
I was like, I would have never thought about that, but like, you know, it's very creative. And so I know that you are like this big music man and music businessman as well, you know, and I heard some rumors, and I don't know if they're true. Someone told me, but I mean, for sure I know that you were in Valencia, right?
Correct.
And there you started a new company, right?
Where do you get these rumors? Might be true.
Not too far away. Okay. Yeah. You started a company with a dear friend, Gabriel.
He's all right.
Called the Gig Doctors.
Yes.
So it's a talent agency.
Booking agency.
A booking agency. Perfect. So is this still going? Was this just an idea? Did you actually like get a head start of it? I want you to tell me all about it. And how did it came up?
Okay. We were on the train back. I think we were going to like some airport. And I was just talking to him because it had been maybe like half a year in Valencia, and we were talking about how like so many people wanted to play shows and like couldn't. Right, because something about like probably language barrier, or like emailing back and forth or something. Like getting gigs is not the easiest thing when you're first starting out.
Yeah. Right,
and so our idea was to create a bridge between those two, like between new artists starting out at Berkeley and the entire network of venues all throughout Valencia. And so what we would do is like go out to all these venues. Yeah, like just we had a list, and just go out and talk to the owners and try to get like a connection, like a rapport started with them. Gabriel speaks Spanish as well, which really helps.
Yeah.
Because that's a big thing. Like when you're in Spain, like most people speak some amount of English, but Spanish is really their main language, obviously.
Yeah.
And so if you don't speak Spanish, there is a bit of a disconnect, right? And most people at Berkeley don't speak Spanish.
That's true.
Right. And so trying to get gigs from that place is not the easiest thing.
Yeah. And so would you say like was that something like the artists would reach out to you guys and you guys would reach out to the venues, or was that like a service, like, oh, call this number, we'll get you some venues? How did it work?
So this was a flawed strategy. Like, yeah, there are no positive lessons to be learned from this business. And my point being, like, this is a what not to do sort of situation.
Still helpful.
Like we spent. Oh wait, back to your question, right? Like you were asking.
How did it work?
Right.
Yeah.
So what we did is we would reach out to like artists in our own networks, and like literally just like I don't know why I said it that way. To, like talk to friends and be like, hey, do you want to be on this roster of artists that we have, so that we can show venues, hey, we have this list of artists, so that you can like invite them to play.
Oh, so the venue would be like you would. I don't understand. Like, would you sell the artist to the venue?
So we would have two sets of customers, basically.
Oh, okay.
So on the venue side and on the artist side, and we would take a cut of profits.
Okay, I see.
And so, yeah, it's an interesting business model. I don't know if I would go back to it. You know.
Okay. So it's something that you did in the past, had the experience, but you're like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Really good. So you have a lot of as we can see, you have a lot of projects going on and everything, and sometimes like it can get really like too much, too overwhelming. I want you to like tell me, like, do you have any advice for people inside the industry that are just like starting out and doing whatever they're doing? You know, either you're a business person, you're an artist, you want to be a manager, you want to work in this industry in some way or another. Sometimes it could get too overwhelming, it could get too much. So do you have any advice for how to like, you know, navigate the industry and kind of just trying to make it as smoothly as possible, not freaking out in the process, you know?
I think we go in and out of phases. And so sometimes things are, and especially in music, right? In other businesses, I think it's more consistent. More is the key word. Not, you know, totally consistent, but more consistent. In music, I think almost everyone goes through phases of like just complete overwhelm, and like shows every day, and like, oh my god, this is happening, and then you have this project coming out, and then you're writing with this person, you're producing with this person, like it's insane. And then you have phases where nothing happens.
I
right
see.
And so I think trying to maintain, Gabriel's gonna love this, trying to maintain some sense of routine is really important for me. I wouldn't use this as like advice for every single person in the world.
But I do
right?
believe it kind of like makes sense, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to a friend about this morning. Music isn't just being able to play guitar and being able to write songs. It's like your entire life, you know, and not in the sense of like, oh, don't do anything outside of music, but rather music, the songs that you write about your life, you know? And so like work on yourself in the sense of like, you know, go exercise, go for walks, take care of yourself, go experience things, don't lock yourself in a room and just play forever, you know?
Because if not, you're not going to have anything to write about.
Right. At least if writing is your main thing. But music is inspired by life anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to be a better guitarist, let me put it this way. Going outside, going for walks, taking care of my health has made me a better guitarist without practicing more. So that's advice for me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I actually, now that you're mentioning it, I wrote an article about wellness for artists. I interviewed this professor that she's a singing professor, and she's also a yoga instructor. She's many things. And she was talking about like the importance of incorporating this wellness practices like yoga or meditation or walks and exercising. And we think, oh, it has nothing related to what we do, like whatever, but it's your health. And if I feel like the more healthy that you can be, the better you're going to perform in whatever is it that you do.
100%.
You know, so yeah, and based on that, what would you say is the biggest struggle or the biggest struggles that you had to face through the process of like just being here and making it in the industry? It could be either related to your mental health. It could just be like kind of like technical things like dealing with the business. What would you say is the biggest struggle, and how did you overcome it?
This is going to get slightly philosophical, but my biggest struggle is knowing myself. And I forget who it was, but like the biggest struggle in life is to know thyself. Literally that. Right? Like my sense of who I am is like throughout just coming to college anyway, it's gone up and down. It's been left and right. It's been everywhere. And that occupies a lot of my mental space. Like, who am I? Should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? You know, even the way I act, right? Like, should I don't know, walk this way, talk this way? Or should I even think about that? Is that the kind of person I want to be? Like, it just goes layers and layers and layers and layers deeper. And I'm also an overthinker, and so that doesn't help. Yeah, like, even, like, is writing the right path? Should I go into business? Right? Because if you think about the stories that people tell about, you know, the things that they came to be, like you hear John Mayer talk about his story, it's all like he could have gone a very different direction and told the same kind of story, right? And so the stories that we tell ourselves are the most important thing, but they're also adaptable. And so if I go down music, in like 10 years, I'm going to say, oh yeah, you know, I grew up playing piano and like did this and did this. And then I went on a podcast with Ale, and then, you know, and then I went to Nashville and blew up and whatever. Yeah. And if I go into business, I can tell the same story of like, yeah, you know, growing up, I always loved business. Yeah. And so it's very dependent, and therefore I stress about like which choices I'm going to make. Because I realize like the story can change. And so I no longer have the story to rely on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's like so true. I feel like a lot of people also struggle with like finding themselves, and this is something I talked to about also with Isa. She's like, sometimes you lose yourself because there's so many things going on that you lose yourself. You're like, what do I want? I don't know what I want. And yeah, being a major overthinker also not helping. But how would you say, are you overcoming that aspect? Or do you think that there's a solution for that? Like, kind of like you're the creator of your own reality, but you don't know the reality that you want. Yeah. How would you say you're overcoming it? Or would you overcome it?
The thing that's worked for me more, right, because my trajectory has gone from very confused to slightly less confused. And so The thing that's made me slightly less confused,
That's so relatable.
right? Yeah, is spending time with myself, right? Like turning off my phone, going for a walk, and honestly, you know, sometimes saying no to like, hey, do you want to hang out? And it's like, no, I'm good. I need time for myself. Because there's a relationship with yourself that you need to build.
Yeah.
You know, it's like any other relationship. Right? You have a rapport with yourself, and you have to know what you want and what you need, and you don't always know that instinctively.
Yeah.
Right. And so it takes time, but most importantly, it takes like solitude and intentional solitude, like some form of meditation, yoga, whatever you want to call it. Right. Just something where you can let the world around you kind of disappear for a second.
Yeah.
And let the world within you kind of come to light.
That's really helpful, honestly. Sometimes a lot of people, I mean, I'm also the kind of person that needs to be alone. I'm like, my social battery, but yeah, but there's a lot of people that are like need to be with someone all the time, or need to be like exposed to. I feel like nowadays with social media, it's like we need to be listening to something, or we need to be, have some kind of stimulation, but just like being in silence does like go a long way, I'd say.
I love silence.
So we love silence. We're music students, but we love silence.
And also the irony of doing a podcast while saying we love silence.
It's just kind of like encouraging people just to stop listening to us.
Yeah, click away right now. Turn off your phone. Go sit in your bathroom corner for like 30 minutes. Don't do anything.
After listen, of course, here's the thing. You need to have a balance. You need to listen to the podcast and then do what we're saying.
Good point.
Subscribe, then do what we're saying. Oh my God. But thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I feel
of
like,
course.
Talking to you, it always comes like a learning outcome. It comes, your pieces of advice are like really useful, at least for me. I hope for whoever's watching too. So yeah, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.